everyone, so I just thought I would do like a weekend vlog, and I kind of wanted to make a video that was like a mixture of what I've been doing and how I've been feeling and kind of coping with that. I started in Cafe Nero and had a long writing session before the girls finished school on Friday, and then I went for a look in some charity shops and I found a book for my daughter that I kind of like when you find random stuff like that in really good condition, and I got some roses for her because she was having like an Alice in Wonderland kind of themed party. The girls have a couple of books like this that are about like basically like females to look up to that have made their mark like in the world, and I liked this one because it was a mixture of men and women, and I just think they really usually enjoy this kind of thing, so we could read it together. And my friend really kindly called round and brought me some flowers. I love these kind of flowers because you can watch them kind of gradually opening over several days, and they just seem to last a really long time. After I got the girls from school, I took them to IKEA. I really love the cafe there because you can get free tea and coffee if you have a family card, and we just got some pastries, and I had like a cinnamon bun thing, and there's like a little play area the girls still love with like screens where they can draw on them and stuff, and it was quite quiet. I thought it would have been busier on a Friday afternoon, but it wasn't, and I just sat near the window so I could see the planes taking off, because it's right beside the airport, so you can see really close, and the window seats are usually always taken straight away. I think everybody wants to have the same view of like the plains and the Cave Hill. Yeah, it was really hard to get my kids to sit down for long enough to actually eat their snack. They kept coming over and trying to sneak it into the play bit, and they both helped themselves to like these huge servings of milk that they basically were never going to drink, but they were convinced they were. Yeah, I love the Cave Hill, and I haven't been in a while actually. I need to go back there with the girls soon. They really like the adventure playground there, and I like Belfast Castle and just wandering. I like going to the top of it, but I don't know if they will agree to join me. My daughter claims that she's scared of heights, but if there was like some sort of reward that she was dying for waiting at the top of it, I think she would somehow get over that fear. So sometimes I don't know if it's legitimate or just because it sort of suits what she wants to do. But yeah, I might go back whenever they're in school so I can like enjoy the view without screaming. And they just love like going through all the little bedroom areas and dreaming about having them for themselves.
Oh, this is a perfect sofa for me. Oh, it's massive.
Do you like it better than the little chair?
I like this. Yeah.
Do you like the chair? And they found the little kid trolleys. When I was a kid, I thought these were so cute, but now that I'm an adult, it kind of fills me with dread when we see one, because they like tend to run away with it or crash into stuff, but they were pretty good with it. And then we went to the playground outside before we left, and yeah, IKEA is just a really good place to go with kids. There's so much to do, and it just sort of tires them out, especially on like a wet day or just a day when it's kind of cold to be outside. And I decided to kind of share this honest chat to see if it could maybe help someone. It's kind of late at night, and I just thought I would make this video in case it helps someone. Like 11 years ago now, I found out that an old boyfriend that I had that I really cared about had been murdered, and it was in a really like vicious way, and it was very kind of like sudden and shocking, and I wasn't actually living here when it happened. I was away in Glasgow, although I had bumped into him just like a short while before, and he'd been really excited because he'd like moved into this new flat and he wanted me to come and see it. And like, I don't know, I think that like I always worried about him, like even like like I knew him for years and years because we kind of dated, and then like I don't know, he just had a lot of problems in his life and a lot of issues, and then we kind of like he would sort of vanish for periods, and he had like drinking problems and stuff, but I would have always seen him around, and I just associated like Belfast with him because every time I would come home from Glasgow, like I would run into him, and he was just like such a bright, vibrant kind of personality. And I know a lot of people here like really loved him, and he was like really popular. And then I remember like running into him like another time, and he asked me out again, and then we kind of ended up dating for a while, and we're spending like every minute together for a period. And I don't know what it was about him, I just like really connected with him. Like he was just such a kind of like he just had this really like beautiful spirit, even though he had like problems with drinking and he'd had a difficult upbringing, and his situation wasn't amazing because he'd been homeless and stuff. Even though he was like young at the time, like he was only in his like early 20s. When I met him, he was like 18. But I just remember the night I met him. Sorry. I just remember the night I met him because I went to on this date with a guy that was just like completely self-absorbed, and it was just a bad idea, but I was like young and naive. And he basically met me in a bar, and then he saw a group of his friends and he went and sat with them and kind of forgot about me. So I was just like standing on my own at the bar, kind of wondering if he would ever remember I was there. And then this is whenever I met the guy that I'm talking about. Because he came over to get me. Like on the night that I met him, it kind of felt like he like rescued me from just like standing on my own and feeling really out of place and not knowing where to put myself, and he was just really kind to me. And I just immediately like clicked with him. Like he was just so much fun, and like I felt like he was a deep person, and like there was some sort of almost like spiritual bond between us, but that he also was just really fun. Like he just loved life, and like it was contagious the way he was just so spontaneous, and like he just kind of like lit up a room. Like he was just one of those people. And I just really treasured like every moment I had with him, even though I think I kind of knew that he was on a bad path in a way, because some of the people he was surrounding himself with at certain times I wasn't sure about, like especially later on. I went to a party once with him, and I remember being like really scared, and I had a male friend there with me too who told me to basically get out of the place because it wasn't a good vibe and it was just a really bad idea. And even though like I know he was kind of more streetwise than I was like at the time, like he also just was very like, he seemed naive, and like he always thought the best of people, and like I don't know, he just like was this really like beautiful soul. And I don't know, like I remember like meeting him and just immediately being really like kind of infatuated by him, and like I just wanted to spend all of my time with him. And then I remember arranging to meet up with him for like a date, and he didn't show up, and it just like killed me. Like I stood outside the cinema waiting for him for like an hour and a half or something, just like hoping he would show up, and he didn't. And I went home and like I was just devastated. And then like I don't know, I think most people would think like at that point you should just sort of like forget it, but I think I understood that it was more complicated than what I knew. Like I didn't, like there was more going on in his life than I knew about, and
then later he sort of said that to me and said that, like, at the time he hadn't even had a phone to kind of contact me to tell me he couldn't come. But yeah, like, I don't know what it was. I just felt like we had a kind of special bond. And he was one of those people too where if you didn't see him for a while, as soon as you saw him, it was like no time had passed. And I just felt like happy in his presence. Like, we would just listen to music together and go to like really simple places. Like, I would have been happy just like sitting on a curb with him, like listening to music. And there were times he did that, and I really was. And like, he was just so enthusiastic about music too, which I love because I love music so much, and it's such a big part of like who I am. And I used to be in bands and stuff, and I was really into drums, and he was really interested in the fact that I like had played drums in a band and wanted to hear my music and stuff. And like, he also recorded his own stuff, and I really loved listening to it, so it was like a kind of mutual thing. And you know, like, whenever you just meet someone in life who's like they just make simple things feel so special and memorable. It was like that. And then I just always worried that something would happen to him, because I think the second time round, whenever I had dated him, I realised he was starting to hang out with people who were like, it just didn't feel safe. And they were taking a lot of drugs, and like, I just felt like they were kind of leading him in the wrong direction. But he ended up being like randomly killed by someone that he didn't even really know, but that lived near him. And I didn't even hear about it, because I think at that stage of my life I was just busy like with uni, and I just didn't really like even check the like Northern Irish news, because I wasn't even in the country. And I don't know, somehow I just didn't hear. And then whenever I came home, a friend of mine told me what had happened, and it's just like devastating. But right now, like, I just feel exactly the same as I did at the moment when I first heard about it. It's been like 11 years now, and I just can't, it's like I can't really fully process it, and I can't accept it. I don't know what it is. It's just like, I think I just wanted to make a video to sort of like reach out to people that might feel the same way and that have experienced grief. And I think people expect you to like forget about something, and with time it fades and it doesn't hurt as much. Like, that's not necessarily always the case. And like, I didn't even get to go to his funeral, so like, I'm sure that people around him wouldn't have even thought that like it would affect me this much that he died, but it really, really has. Like, his death has affected my whole life. And I kind of go through these phases of like a deep depression about it, where it's like, I just kind of can't see a future. And it sounds stupid, but like, I felt like if I went into Belfast, like into the city centre, and I went to like the typical places where we hung out, I would always run into him, and there was like a feeling of safety when I saw him. But it's like, without him there, it's not the same. I don't know if anybody else has experienced anything like this before, or if they can relate to this, but I just hope that it kind of like helps somebody who is maybe struggling with similar feelings to feel like they are valid.
So from one kind of extreme to the other, this is like the next day whenever I took the girls to the library. I wanted to make a video that shows the kind of ups and downs of life, and how like people do have like highs and lows, and I especially might have them because I have bipolar disorder, but I think it's just natural to have both, and sometimes like we just don't get to see that, and you only see the like kind of filtered version of someone's life, and I think social media kind of makes you think that you are alone and that other people don't have sad times. Like, it just kind of like shows you this glossy finish on everyone's life, and it's not really completely honest. But I suppose it's also like most people probably aren't going to share the moments that are lower. So I just kind of wanted to share it, and hopefully like it resonates with somebody. I was just like having a kind of quiet evening preparing for my daughter's birthday party. She turned 9 today, and I decided to do like a birthday party at home for her and just have like a few of her friends over, and it worked out really well actually. I ordered like an escape kit, you know, like the escape rooms that you get. Well, I've been to a couple of them. Well, actually twice to the same one, because the first time I didn't get out and the second time I did. But I wanted to see if there was a way to kind of recreate that at home. And then I found out you can buy escape kits online, and you basically just download it at home, print it off, and then it has instructions to help you set it up. It is really time consuming. I kind of enjoyed the process of like cutting everything out. Like, it was kind of therapeutic. And it's like a good diversion when you're feeling sad as well, I think, to like keep busy with projects and have like artistic things happening, and like even just preparing for like a party or something like that. Like, it gives you a focus. And I think that like the thing is that like no matter how sad you might feel about something, or the like how much grief you're experiencing, like if you're still here, life still goes on for you. Things are always kind of evolving, and like you're going to have moments where you kind of come out of the dark moments and look around you, and you are distracted by the other things that are going on in your life. Like, it's like you can't stay kind of stuck in that moment forever. And I think that's something I've learned, like with dealing with mental health issues for so many years, and with just like having difficult life situations like present themselves to me. Like, I know what it's like to kind of hit rock bottom, and like there's definitely still times where I feel like I'm back there, but I think I have like tools and things that like help me to get through day to day when I'm feeling like that. And I definitely feel like art and creativity is one of those things. It just takes your mind off whatever pain you're going through. So I was like doing an Alice in Wonderland themed escape kit, and I had no idea what it would be like before it arrived. Like, it just I had to follow the instructions to figure out how to put it all together. It was quite complicated, but it was worth it in the end. It sort of started off with a little box of tea that you had to build, so that's what I was doing here. And then you put little tea bags in it, and you had to like match patterns up with the tea bags and the cups to figure out where a key was hidden. And that was like one of about 7 stages. So like each time you found a key, it would give you like a clue to get to the next part, and then you'd have to find that within whatever room it was, and then kind of work together as a team to figure it out. And several of the kids that came to the party did seem really engaged with it. I think it's one of those things you're probably going to love or hate, and you kind of have to have that sort of personality where you want to solve puzzles and you have the attention span for that. But yeah, the kids that did do it seemed to really like it. I'll show you some bits and pieces of it whenever it's set up at the end of the video. It's kind of hard to see the full effect when you're not like actually doing it, but I just thought it was like kind of a unique idea for a birthday party, and something that was a bit different, and that might hold the kids' attention for a while. Because I think if you're going to have kids over for a few hours, you kind of have to have different activities to break it up and to hold on to their attention. And it's good to have a mixture between like having a task for them and then just having like free play, because like too much of one, like if they are doing a task the whole time, they get bored. But if they're like have free play the whole time, it all gets a bit out of control, and that's whenever they start like dismantling the furniture and stuff. I didn't realise there would be so much involved in like setting it up, and it actually took me like nearly 2 full evenings to do it, along with just like getting the rest of the party stuff ready. But sometimes I like to have something like that I have to do, and there's like kind of a deadline on it, because it just gives me a feeling of like purpose. And I think otherwise I could just get sucked into kind of sitting and like getting sad about things and overthinking and just like putting myself into a really like dark place kind of. So it's like sometimes I just feel like I have to stop myself out of it, even temporarily, just and be like, okay, have a cry and like get out whatever feelings you're having and like feel it fully, but then put a time limit on it and then be like, okay, now you have to go and do this, because otherwise it can just turn into something all consuming, and nobody can live like that all the time. That's how depression kind of sets in and takes over your life and stops you being able to do all of the things that you want to do and that you need to do to kind of stay sane. I think I realised as I was doing this too that I like, for someone my age, I'm not that great at using scissors. Like, I basically feel like it takes me forever to cut out a picture, and maybe I'm just trying to be too careful with it, because I tend to be quite a messy person, and whenever I'm doing artistic things I kind of rush through things and I'm more focused on getting it done than it being neat. But it sort of makes you like have to slow down and do it properly. So these were the little tea bags that I had to cut out. And then they were just like one of the clues, and I had to make like different little areas where it has like a signpost in each one. Like there was a mushroom forest, so I decided to kind of like arrange plants, and I have like a little toadstool ornament, and I just stuck pictures of toadstools on the walls just to kind of like enhance the experience. And yeah, sadly, I don't think my daughter actually appreciated the fact that I put this much time into setting it up. She was just like, she doesn't have the attention span for things like this. So about 5 minutes in, when they weren't finding the answers, she was just like, right, I'm done with this. So I was kind of grateful that her sister was interested and her friends were, because otherwise I would have been on my own, probably going around solving it myself, just to kind of like make up for the fact that I spent such a ridiculous amount of time on getting it all sorted out. I don't know if anyone else does this too, but I find like every time you have a party, you have these like plans of what you're going to do, and you never really have enough time to do all of them, and you always kind of forget something just in the midst of all the craziness. Like I had these masks and like little pieces of paper that basically say about like how we've won the hunt and everything, and at the end of it you were supposed to do like funny pictures together, and I just completely forgot about that, although I think by the time the kids solved it all, they probably were done with that, to be honest. But yeah, like I think I did more cutting out than I actually needed to do in preparation for it. I love just sitting in the kitchen and like working on something at the table and listening to peaceful music in the evening. It just feels like my little kind of space, especially after like the bedtime routine and all the kind of craziness of the day, because everything's so like fast paced and kind of, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a nice way to say that my kids are demanding, but I can't really think of one right now. But yeah, they're just like full of energy as well, and it's just the contrast to that is so nice in the evening. And actually at one point when I was preparing this, I think someone called me, but thankfully I managed to keep them in bed with a book, because they knew I was preparing party stuff, and they basically won't come down to interfere with that if they know what's going on, because they think it might mean that they're deprived of presents. So yeah, maybe I should do that every night and just pretend that's what I'm doing, like arranging their party for the following year, just because then they won't like put a toe out of bed and come and disturb me whenever I'm trying to have peace and quiet. And these were the keys that had to be hidden in specific places, so then they found them, and then in the end they all like kind of unlock a final door, and then that's where their certificates were hidden. So yeah, that was kind of like how it worked. But it was good, like even for an adult, like without any sort of clues or guidelines, like the whole like escape thing would be quite challenging. Like it took me a while to even work out the concept from reading all of the notes. There were pages and pages of them. And the escape room that I went to before, it was something completely different, and it was like you literally are locked in a room and you have to figure out how to get out, and you have an hour to do it, and like there's clues hidden all over the room, but basically you're not given any like guidance before you start, so you just have to start like poking around for stuff and hope that you find it. And I just remember the feeling of like complete like disappointment whenever we didn't get out the first time, because we just had put so much into it in that hour, and we were convinced that we were going to like crack it, but we didn't. And it just felt like we had to go back within like another week just to like try again, because it was kind of eating away at my mind, and like I couldn't really relax or sleep thinking about the fact that I hadn't finished the escape room. So yeah, I really love things like that. I'd probably love to go to one of those, you know, the like murder mystery parties where you go to like a dinner party in this big like manor house or something. I think my sister's been to one of them before, and my parents, and you have like this fancy dinner, and there's actors that are like kind of sitting with you at the table, and they're in character the whole time, and then you have to like work together to figure out who murdered whoever at the party. And I just think that sounds like fun. I think part of me just like still loves Agatha Christie and like trying to get to the bottom of like kind of murder mystery things. So I also love Cluedo. And then at the party, apart from that, I just did like Pass the Parcel, which I think the kids were actually way more enthusiastic about, because it's just like kind of like instant gratification. And then we did like musical statues, and we have this funny potato game where you have to throw this musical potato, and whenever it honks, like that means you're out if you happen to be the one holding it at the time. So we played that, and then the kids got sweets whenever they were out. And then I just did party food, and I actually ate quite a lot of it, because usually when I do party food, everybody just like is too full of sweets and cake and stuff, and they refuse to eat, but they did seem to enjoy it. I think the key is like buying things like sausages, chips, and like sausage rolls, and maybe pizza, and not like providing too many options with food, just like keeping it plain, and then all kids will basically like it. And this is just like the final setup of the party, and it's kind of simple, but just like made little areas for all of the clues, and the kids seem to enjoy it. So yeah, and now I'm just enjoying like peace and quiet now that it's over, and I can just like sit and have a drink in peace. And I just wanted to share like a week that shows like the ups and downs, and it's like a true reflection of the different sides to life, and not just like, oh, I'm happy all the time. So I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.